Hello everyone, and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson we're going to be talking about scanning with Nessus. So Nessus is a product that is a vulnerability scanner, and it is made by Tenable. So you're not going to be allowed to use Nessus on the exam or any type of vulnerability scanner, but I did want to show it to you because it does have some real world applications. So while you're not going to be able to use it in the course or on the exam, you should know about it and you should know how to use it at least to a little bit. So we're going to use this today, just a basic install and a scan of a machine. That way you can kind of get comfortable with it. So let's go ahead and go into our Kali box. And if you see, I am at a website called Tenable.com. If you go ahead and go to that, from this website, we're going to go ahead and go to Products. And let's click on Nessus Download. So a couple things here. Let's go ahead and open on a new page to get an activation code, because you're going to need that. And let's download under the Linux section. We've got the Kali Linux right here for our AMD 64. So if you're using 64-bit, which most of you are, this is going to be what you're going to download. So you go ahead and click on that. I've already got it downloaded. So you can go ahead and pause the video until your download's done. And then once it is, go ahead and go to your terminal and go to your downloads folder or wherever you have the file downloaded. Let's just make sure that it's still in there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to install that. So what we're going to type in is dpkg-i, and then we're just going to type in the rest there. You can tab it out. Go ahead and hit enter, and that'll start installing Nessus. Okay, and now that it's started here, what we can do is we can say etc, we'll do init.d, we'll say nessus.d start. So that's the syntax we're going to want to enter in here. Okay, so Nessus is now started. If you wanted Nessus to start every time you loaded your computer, we did talk about that before. There's another way to do that as well. We could type in this syntax here. So update-rc.d nessus.d enable, and that would load Nessus every time. I'm not going to do that on my machine because we're only using it for this course here. So let's go ahead and go to Nessus homepage. So to do that, let's go ahead and go to our local host, and this is going to be what we're going to type in here, localhost to the port of 8834, and make sure you have HTTPS. So I'm going to hit enter on that, and it's going to bring you to this create account page. So you're going to go ahead and create an account. I'm just going to make mine root and Tor here. And then here's where your activation code is going to come into play. You are going to have to enter in an email to get a code. So you can go to this Nessus home. It's just free scanning for up to 16 IPs. So if you do register now, you could type a first name, last name, and email, and it'll send you a code. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my code in here. I'm going to pause the video, and then when I'm done, I will be right back. Okay, so now I've activated, and you should get to this screen here where it starts downloading your plugins. So this may take a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pause again while we wait. Once this is done, I'll go ahead and resume the video, and we will continue where we left off. Okay, so now that we've got everything all set up, you're taken here to a scan screen. Let's go ahead and do a new scan in the upper right hand corner. And let's just select a basic network scan. So you have a few different options in here. You can see most of them are upgrade options, so really we don't have Many to choose from. There's also a host discovery here, so you also have another option of doing a ping sweep. But for today, let's just do the basic network scan. So when we go in here, it's going to ask you for a name. Let's call this scan. You can call it scan 1. I'm going to call it scan 2 because I already ran a scan while we were waiting. And we're going to put this in your scan folder, and we're going to select the target. So whatever target you want to scan against, I'm going to scan the same machine we've been scanning, my 192.168.15.2. And we can choose a few options here. So you can kind of click through this here. If we go into discovery, it has port scan, common ports. I like to choose all ports. And you can do custom ports. You can, like it said, common ports, similar to Nmap where it did the top 1000. So let's go ahead and select all ports here. Under assessment, I like to leave it at default unless you want to select for web vulnerabilities or you want to do a custom scan here. Report, we just leave the same. In advanced, we just leave the same. So really that's it. If you had credentials you wanted to use, say SSH or Windows credentials, you could get a little deeper of a vulnerability scan, but what we're looking for here is just on the outside. So if you provided SSH or Windows credentials, then you have insider access essentially. So you're adding another layer there that you're scanning against. So maybe looking at privilege escalation and inside vulnerabilities, but really we just want to look at what vulnerabilities we can find from the outside. So that's how we're going to scan now. We're not going to add any credentials. So let's go ahead and just save that. And when you want to run a scan, all you have to do is come over here and hit launch. I'm not going to do that because I already did the scan. So go ahead and scan your system. And while we wait, we can kind of cover what the scan looks like. So I'm going to go into mine. I just clicked on the scan itself. You could see the scan was against my host. And it found vulnerabilities here, mostly information vulnerabilities. So if you click on vulnerabilities, you can kind of see what's going on. So it arranges it by the severity. You could see the highest one that it's showing for my system is a Cisco ASA software CLI vulnerability. It's got a couple SSL vulnerabilities here, and that's really it. So most of these are info. You can kind of click on them. Like it shows you OS identification. And it thinks that we're running Cisco. We're not. So once again, this is kind of what you get. Sometimes it's really accurate, sometimes it's not. So I was thrown off when I first saw this here where it said Cisco CLI. I'm not running any Cisco equipment on my machine, at least this machine here. So sometimes it's hit or miss. I think Nessus is great. I use it in the real world a lot. So I've used it from anywhere from when I was working help desk to being a network engineer. You're going to use it in vulnerability tests. So it has a lot of applications. Just sometimes you kind of have to go through this and make sure what you're seeing is really what it is. And in my case here, we're throwing a lot of false positives. So you're going to see that. I mean, you're going to see that with Nessus. You're going to see that with Nmap. So just be aware that the false positives are out there. So that's it for this lesson. I really just wanted to cover real quick on how to install this and how to use it. It's very basic unless you have a professional license. So feel free to play with it, scan your system, see if there's any vulnerabilities on your machine, and even try patching them if you find something that's legitimate. It's all good practice. But that's it. So until next time, my name is Heath Adams, and I thank you for joining me.